Hey everyone, TimaeuSS here, and welcome to another Wuthering Waves video. And I'm so excited to bring you guys the definitive post-release max damage Yinlin guide from the CN God. And I call it the CN God guide because this is the original guide group that 30 out of 30 starred the tower at adversity back in CBD2, as well as cleared the middle tower with full 3 stars with just Yinlin plus Calcaro, only 2 characters. Now in this video, we'll go over how strong Yinlin is, whether or not she can be a main DPS, her echo choices, and how strong the signature weapon is. Sources to the videos will be down below, and oh my god, the CM bros have been cooking. Now in terms of Yinlin's basic attacks, they will apply what we call the Sinner's Mark. As you can see here, the Resonance Liberation also does that. And Yinlin's basic attacks and Resonance skills fill out her energy gauge at the bottom called the Judgment Points. And once full, Yinlin will sit on my face with a heavy attack, and it converts all of the Sinner's Marks into Punishment Marks. And this is the core component of Yinlin's kit, because once an enemy has a Punishment Mark, anytime that enemy takes a damage, lightnings will be summoned from the sky to do heavy amounts of damage to the target. And now you can see that the Sinner's Mark is linked to the puppet that is controlled by Yinlin, and the distance is quite great. Now in AoE situations, this is fantastic because the energy gain from Yinlin out of the AoE Sinner's Mark, and of course the lightning summon, is going to be massive. And they make it very clear here, once the Sinner's Mark have been converted by the heavy attack, anytime your allies attack an enemy, Yinlin will essentially assist with the lightning summon. So you can see here, the basic rotation is you're going to attack with your resonance skill and basic attack to fill out the Judgment Mark, and once that's filled, heavy attack, and you will be able to apply the Punishment Mark. So again, slower breakdown into the different skills. The key component is that using your basic attack, you'll be able to gain all the judgment points in the energy bar at the bottom. Now they do make it very clear that the 4 combo part of Yinlin, the basic attack, is quite slow. So a lot of times you will be animation canceling either the 3rd or the 4th part of the basic attack by using a swap cancel or something similar. Now Yinlin's resonance skill actually has a very cool unique mechanic as well. Remember, it's a 2-hit combo, and the first time you use it, before you use your second hit, it will trigger an execution mode, and this execution mode allows Yinlin to apply an AoE blast damage to all targets with Sinner's Mark when you attack them. So you can see here, for example, we've got 4 enemies and all of them have the Sinner's Mark, but when I attack any one of them, all 4 will take this AoE electro damage blast, and it's unlimited. But what is limited is that this can only trigger up to 4 times. So you can see, if we have 4 people here, then boom, boom, and boom, boom. That's 16 times in terms of damage coming out as an extra trigger. Now, the damage for those blasts are not significant. However, what is significant is the energy gain from it, and notably the judgment point gain. Okay, so you can see here that when we use a single target, we didn't get the energy bar filled. But if it's AoE, look how fast this fills up by just using the execution mode. So it's very strong. And of course, the second part of the resonance skill has a very long animation when you are using the jump, so you can animation cancel it. Now the basic rotation against non-moving target is going to be resonance skill for basic attack, and then you use your resonance skill, the second part of it, and then swap out. You can see this provides about 66 points of energy gain. Okay, so this is how it looks like. However, the ultimate rotation coming out in actual combat is not going to be like this. It's going to be EAAE, which is resonance skill, basic attack, and resonance skill, because the 3rd and the 4th hit is very time consuming. We can just cancel the 3rd basic attack animation and go a resonance skill, attack, resonance skill, and then swap out. So a lot of that still needs testing in terms of optimized rotation. I've seen discussions with regards to just using the resonance skill only. That is one of it as well in terms of the viable composition, especially if using her as a sub DPS. Now in terms of her resonance liberation, it's very straightforward. Okay, you're just going to summon lightning. It's going to do a lot of damage AoE as well. So your rotation with the resonance liberation looks like this: resonance skill, resonance liberation, and then using 4 basic attacks, and then resonance skill out. Now the key component to Yinlin's kit is this heavy attack where she sits on my face, and you do this when the judgment points at the bottom above your HP is filled out. This converts the sinner's mark into punishment marks, and it's crucial because those with punishment marks will get hit by Yinlin's passive. As you can see here, Kakero is doing damage against enemy with punishment mark, and lightning gets summoned from the skies to strike fear into the enemy's heart. Now this is insanely good, and the reason why Yinlin is basically played as a sub DPS because she does not need to be on field to get these done. And of course, the crazy part about this, you can hit someone else and it's okay because this lightning damage is basically AoE wide, map wide. You can hit a different character that has the punishment mark and it will summon lightning to a different enemy down there. It's absolutely crazy how big the range of this is, and you want to keep this up at all times. So your main job is to go through your rotation and apply your sinner's mark, convert it into punishment mark, and then keep that up as long as you can because it only lasts for 18 seconds. And the cool part about this is that it keeps the stack of your weapon. The signature weapon for Yinlin gains the stack when she's doing this damage in the back, which is crazy. And now her intro skill absolutely oh my god, kick me Yinlin, kick me instead. Oh Jesus, look how beautiful this looks. And yes, it's an intro skill that has a very nice animation indeed, but it also applies the sinner's mark, so it's quite useful. And the cool part about this is that after you use your intro skill, you skip the first few components of the basic attack, and if you chain basic attack after the intro, you'll go straight into the next sequence of a basic attack rotation. Now speaking of Yinlin's weapon choices, you can see that the signature weapon is about a 30% buff in comparison to the second choice, which is the standard 5-star that everyone can get via selector after level 45. And now that is about the same as a max duped out battle pass weapon. So you can see not big difference between the second, third slot, but man, the signature weapon does so much for Yinlin in general, because not only do you get a 36% crit rate stat, your all resonance type damage will be buffed by 12% at base level 1 copy, and also every time you deal resonance skill damage, you gain a 12% damage buff and stacks up to 2 times, lasting for 5 seconds. And when you're not on the field, which means when Yinlin's elsewhere, at home with me, this effect increased by another further 12%. So at base copy, it goes 12 plus 12, which is 24, it stacks up to 2 times. It's a 48% attack buff on top of a 12% damage boost. Now, the crazy part is a little known fact that the lightning that gets summoned from the punishment mark, they are resonance skill damage, okay? So this is resonance skill damage, which means that even if Yinlin is off the field in the back doing sub DPS, the resonance skill damage will cause this buff to be stacked. So you'll get this attack buff stacking in the background for Yinlin, and it's gonna be 12 plus 12, 24 times 2, 48%. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So you can see why this weapon is so damn good. Now, in terms of the other choices, yes, the other weapons, the 5 stars as well as the 4 stars are also okay. This increases the energy gen, which is alright, and when you do basic attack damage, you also gain basic attack damage buff. Now the battle pass weapon is not bad. This 20% crit rate is actually pretty decent, and also when you use a resonance liberation, you gain a self attack buff. Not bad at all. It's almost like a mini version of the signature weapon, so it's not bad. But the only downside, of course, is that it doesn't last as long as the buff is not as strong, because it doesn't get triggered off of the effect. Now, in terms of Encore, I guess a lot of people were deciding whether or not to pick this weapon up for Encore. It is a 20% damage boost in comparison to the 5-star weapon version, so it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Okay, so yes, pick it up for sure. And yeah, they have done an Encore guide, which I have covered as well in my channel, so check it out. Now, in terms of the echo choices, the previous recommendation for the Moonlit 5-piece still holds true from the closed beta test, and that's what they're recommending at the moment. They've gone with the bird, of course, the Impermanence Huron, and then they go with 43311, and with the cost 4 being crit rate or crit damage, but most likely crit damage, because you want to get a 1-to-2 ratio, so 1 being the crit rate and 2 being the crit damage, and because Yinlin gets so much crit rate from weapons and whatnot, that it's most likely going to be a crit damage cost 4, and cost 3s are going to be electro damage typing, and then cost 1's attack percentage. And for the substats, aim for the double crit if you can, and of course after that the attack percentage, and after that go for energy gain, because you also want this breakpoint of an energy gain if you can. After that, resonance skill damage, because resonance skill damage is quite crucial in Yinlin, as I've said, that you want resonance damage for the thunder that she summons off of the punishment mark. And this is a component about the energy gain. The energy gain should be 130% for Yinlin. That's their breakpoint. The Moonlit piece gives you 10%, so you just need to fish about 20% of your substats. Okay, so that is very, very key as well. And they even suggest switching a 3 cost into energy gain if you can't get this breakpoint, but I think that's a bit copium. That's a bit copium. Just try to get 20% of energy gain off of your subs. So you can see that in the breakdown of the damage type coming out from Yinlin, just over 50, so 52% will be off of your resonance skill, which is again because of your punishment mark summoning the lightning, that is counted as resonance skill. So of course, for the substats, you want to try to aim for resonance skill after you get the double crit and after you get the attack percentage as the next high priority substat to get. Now, in terms of how powerful her dupes are, you can see that the Sequence Node 3 and Sequence Node 6 offers a major boost. However, I'm not going to go into too much greater detail because it's still very early in the game, and I think the majority of us don't have the ability to pull for dupes, so I'll just skim through it. But if you want to look at the percentage, it's here. Now, team building. So Calcaro, after testing, is still the king. Alright, the king to pair up with Yinlin, because again, Yinlin's outro, even though it was nerfed, and I will talk about it very briefly here. The nerf, quote-unquote nerf, is that they stopped quick swap from happening. What happens is that on the outro for Yinlin, she does or offers a buff that provides additional electro damage as well as resonance liberation damage. And Calcaro, the Death Messenger, post his resonance liberation counts as resonance liberation damage. So he gains all of these buffs from her. But now the playstyle between these two are going to be, or was, quick swaps, right? Because you want to swap out during every Death Messenger, get Yinlin in and swap back, because you have that window of opportunity where the animation is happening, and I mean, you can do anything else during that time with Calcaro. So the quick swap from the previous showcase was nerfed, because once you swap into Calcaro, get the outro buff from Yinlin, but if you swap out into Yinlin doing this, you don't get the buff anymore. Yes, the buff is gone. So that's why people are saying this outro is nerfed, and would this just make the team comp not viable? Well, that's not true, because again, for the majority of people, you're not gonna get 3 Death Messengers off during a boss fight. Okay, I mean, you could try yourself, fight a boss that actually is attacking you and you have to maneuver and position yourself. Even with animation cancel, it's very difficult to get consistent 3 Death Messengers off for the general public, the average player. So what's going to happen now with this change is basically Yinlin is going to, of course, swap with an outro. Calcaro's coming in, your resonance liberation mode activated, and you are just going to DPS away until the last Death Messenger is out. Then you can swap. I think that's a much better way to play it, and that's okay if the outro buff is gone, because you've done your main DPS burst already. So regardless, even with the change, Calcaro plus Yinlin is still the very strong combo, because Calcaro is super good single target and Yinlin is a beast AoE. So there we have it, and thank you so much if you have watched this far. Now I'm going to answer a few questions, because if it wasn't so obvious already from her signature weapon, essentially Yinlin is in the position of quote-unquote a sub DPS, but I actually want to refresh the term, and let's call it the burst DPS. Essentially, that is what Yinlin is, right? Similar to Senghua, she does not need to be on the field to do insane amounts of damage. That's right, their DPS to on-field time ratio is really high, which means that you can let someone like Alkero do his thing when he is on the field and just swap Yinlin in and get all of the punishment marks set up and all the rotations done, and you can swap out. And that's the joy of running a character like this, because they don't need to be on for a lot of the time, and their skills are very simple to use, and you just swap out and let your main damage dealer do all the work. Now, sub DPS, burst DPS, whatever you call it, their damage is not going to be as high in comparison, obviously, because they're not on the field most of the time. But if you look at the DPS per on field, basically the damage coming out, right, per on-field appearance, then the burst DPS in Yinlin or in a unit like Senghua is going to be higher. And this is why ultimately I think she'll be great fit to any form of team, because you can swap the main DPS units around, but Yinlin has such a good kit built in that the extra damage coming out from her as she is doing all her work in the back is absolutely amazing. But for a lot of you guys, or some of you guys, you want to run her as a main DPS, that's okay. You can do the E into 4 basic attack into E combo if you want, and just let her be on the field for a lot longer because you want to see her in action. I completely concur with that. But this hopefully answers the question of her viability as a what is a main DPS, what is a sub DPS. Just think of it as a burst DPS role instead. Anyhow, thank you guys again for watching, and it's TimaeuSS here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye now.